Welcome back to What Gets Measured, a NinjaCat podcast about marketing, performance management, metrics, and effectiveness, because what gets measured gets managed. I'm your host, Jake Sanders. If your team is still living in spreadsheets, chasing answers across tabs and waiting days or weeks to understand what just happened, you're not alone. Today's conversation gets into what it actually takes to close the gap between analysis, AI agents, and action. Our guest today, Sandra Oono-Thomas, Vice President of Enterprise Growth and Digital Commerce at Daye North America, started as a data analyst and built her career evolving inside the realities most marketing teams face: limited resources, growing complexity, and constant pressure to move faster. We talked through how her team went from manual reporting to AI agents, what changed when they connected their data in a meaningful way, and how that shift unlocked a more proactive approach to marketing strategy. If you've been hearing about AI agents and wondering what it really looks like in practice, this episode will give you a much clearer picture. So let's get to it. Sandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's been a long time coming. Get our schedules aligned. Here we are finally. You're busy. I'm busy. The audience is busy. Let's just jump in. I wanted to give some context here because I wanted this to be a guide to AI agents for marketing leaders. And so I wanted the audience to get a little history and context on your end. How'd you get into it? I mean, not the full story, but how'd you get into marketing and then into data and then into AI? Just that sort of progression, because some people are missing that step. You could have just done the
Sure.
bare minimum, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, actually, it was in the reverse order of what you just said.
So then we're all learning.
Yes, I actually started as a data analyst. So that's where the journey started for me. And then I moved into account management for manufacturers, retail. But because I am from the Seattle area, it was very natural for me to then move into Amazon account managing.
Right.
And then just added on to my, I guess, knowledge bank. I did a pivot and did D2C, B2B, learned digital marketing so that I could, I'm a curious person. I want to learn more.
Sounds like it.
And so that's kind of where I am. That's where I am today
So
with
give us
e-commerce and marketing and digital all coming together.
time frame. Like what is this? Where did we start in data? This is
Oh, way back.
Don't date yourself.
No,
But
so
no, I
it was,
just
yeah.
yeah, no.
So it was during, like I said, I grew up in Seattle, went to college there. I'm a Husky. But anyway, it was about the time when e-commerce was coming on board. So Amazon was just coming on board. And that's when I got into data analytics. And so it was Amazon was growing real fast and all their marketing and everything was brand new. So I really was I've started there as far as digital marketing. I don't think I even knew it was called that at that time. It probably wasn't called that.
We've come up with so many cool new words and acronyms and phrases. So, but this makes so much sense then. You took data awareness and then account management, which is
Yep.
talking to clients and like getting a sense of how they are, and then you become a marketer. It's like
Yes.
it's so amazing. Then this makes sense of how you've sort of come into your own with AI agents, in your current gig. You said, we've talked before, but AI amplifies what you already know.
Yes.
You were keen to hammer that home. So how did you and your team get clear on what actually matters before introducing AI agents? Like, updated, we're here today. How did you get people squared before you brought on the tech?
Well, if you work on my team, we do a lot of analysis. So I run the e-commerce team right now. And our spreadsheets, our Excel spreadsheets, I think were manual. They aren't anymore. And they're probably 20 tabs long because we like to analyze our business in multiple ways, right? But you can only do so much as a human. And we don't have a dedicated analyst on our team. So it was a heavy load for our e-commerce managers. I'm probably the one who was asking the most questions, and then they would have to create another tab so I could view things a different way so we could get a better view of what was going on in the business.
So it's interesting to say part of the way that you had strategically used Excel in those tabs was because of your awareness of visibility on data layers that you were. So did you help when you were asking those questions like, hey, I want to see this view. I want to analyze it this way. What was the reaction from your team who didn't have data analysis experience as deep as you, or did they equally, or just what you're saying, like there's no analyst on hand. We all have to be a bit of an analyst. Did you help them sort of sharpen their skills there in a way?
Yeah, I think it's more of the asking the questions and continuously wanting to like find out more, right? The real answer of like what's happening. And I would say that the e-commerce managers I have, they are also analysts. They like data. They like data and strategy. I think those two go hand in hand.
Mm.
So it's a skill set. I think that's natural, and they're as curious and as excited as I am.
And so strategy, we're saying data and strategy go hand in hand. I think everybody would say, oh yeah, but a lot
Hmm.
of people don't see that. I stop at the data. A lot of people stop thinking at the data. Was strategy the thing that got everybody on board before you brought in AI agents?
Think that, well, if I'm being honest, it was the ability to not see a whole picture,
Mm,
because we were doing everything manually and we didn't have enough time. That was our first intention with AI agents, right? To be able to put a bunch of connect the agents with a bunch of different data sets and see a bigger picture. Um, but what happened after that is we realized we could see so much better, but also our AI agents would be strategists with us.
and so these are AI agents on NinjaCat that you're using.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And so just to get everybody square, because there's a lot of agentic stuff. Um, you've talked to a lot of people in the industry. You've been at these roundtable events that we discussed in one of our last conversations. When people are saying AI, do you think they know what they're talking about? If people say agents, do you think they know what they're talking about? Or is this like just taxonomy, just using words? Do you see people misusing uh phrases like that? Or is that a part of confusion in the place where you're speaking to marketing leaders?
Yeah, I think that unfortunately there's a lot of organizations that have really strict rules and
Hmm,
guidelines and, legal parameters around AI tools. So
sure.
I think that everyone's experience right now of AI is different.
Hmm.
I think we use the word AI and AI agents to mean different things, but I also think that a lot of people are calling AI agents different tools, different levels of agents, like, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
They're
Yes.
kind of all lumped together right now. And
Yeah.
when we use our agents, I'll say, yeah, we use AI, but we have AI agents. For us, the tool we're using, which is NinjaCat, is a game changer for us. Different than we also do use, LLMs
Right,
and,
right.
other tools as well that have AI functionality. But to me, the agents are completely different.
Yes, completely different. Yeah, and so when we're talking about Sandra's experience here, it is a NinjaCat specific one, but it's the same technology that's a bit lumped together, maybe transferable, but it's a specific use case because the data is tied in. There's a central place where they can pull layers from. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into. Like, there's a lot of people playing with AI, like we said, and there's a lot of lumped together terms, so people might not even know if they're playing. Um, what changed when your team moved from experimenting to actually operationalizing AI?
Well, it was like the door was opened. Yeah, I think we're all really excited to see the capabilities of the agents and how much more work we could do, like in-depth work. Even connecting our own data to the agents made a difference. And like I said, the strategy input from the agents, of course, we always have to check it, right? But it's incredible, and the speed. It really has affected how much time we're working on putting data together to get a story, right?
And so, and what was it the technology that helped change it? I mean, of course it was here, but just like what you said, you could do it in Excel. You could craft these things on your own. You could thread it all together on your own. Why didn't you do that?
Oh, we just didn't have the time.
Doesn't it come
I
down
mean,
to that? Time is a
yeah.
non-renewable resource, friends.
Yeah, we just didn't, and by the time you put it all together, it's like insignificant. The time has passed because we're in digital, right? So it
So
you ha
good.
yeah, I mean it by the time you put it together, it's 2 weeks later, and we've
I,
already moved on.
I know
So
I hate that. I was still seeing it takes 3 to 10 days on average to produce a report. And I'm like, by that time, things have changed. It isn't that everything happens in real time, but if you're trying to get a glimpse, you want to get it as close as you can. And I love that analyst awareness that you bring. Let's take it aside here on analyst awareness, because I came into it as a marketer, which I was like, I'm just the marketing guy. And then you're like, guess what? You need to know statistics. And you're like, well, I'm not big on math. And they're like, that's a problem. And you're like, you have to get a sense of what math is important. Like a lot of people are like, hey, this number's down. And you're like, that number doesn't matter. I think it's really a challenging reality for marketers to have limited data analyst skills. Like you have legit, I'm in the field, I'm in the trenches. And I'm asked to bring that same level awareness to a certain data set. I might not be able to. I mean, I'm kind of how like what's your thought about that for marketing leaders? Is it assumed that we have this analyst capability? And how do you sharpen yours? And what's your advice for people like me that are just like, I know over time I figured out what matters, but I had to hit my head on a lot of hard surfaces. So just kind of the marketer's guide here. How do you get people to kind of get their analyst skills tighter?
well, I probably have a different path because I started with data analysis, right? But
Because
what
you're
I love
legit,
about
because you're legit, Sandra.
well, I love numbers. And what I love about numbers is as long as the data is correct,
Mm,
it always tells a story. Like, you know what I mean? And the more information you have, the more full of a story you're going to get.
mm,
So for me, I think as a marketer, the benefit from making sure you ask questions outside of just like what you're working on,
mm.
right? And get more information outside of that so you can get a bigger picture story. I think also my account management and retail background helps a lot because I understand what it's like working with buyers. I understand what they're looking for. I understand what we're looking for as a company, right? And so when I'm working with my marketing agencies, I know what to share with them to help them do their job better. But if you're on the agency side, you do need to ask the questions to help fill in the gaps because I think a lot of times agencies just don't have all the information. They're only able to do what they can with the information they have,
And
right?
I love account management seems like a real bottleneck there because it's like if that information isn't flowing, what about questions? Some people feel dumb when they ask them. What's your advice on that? Like, I mean, I, if somebody says this metric's important, I'm not going to question that. Like, especially if that person's getting paid more than me. um, how do you bring up questions without feeling dumb? How do you get to that? Is there a safe, place? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think that comes from wanting to learn, right? And not being afraid to ask questions even if they're dumb. However, we are able to do our own homework before we ask those questions, right? Especially with uh, ChatGPT or Claude
Or
or
or or
other,
or
right?
or, or, or you know, a coworker or someone who might know.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yep.
point.
Yeah.
Before you ask
Yeah.
what you think might be a stupid question, maybe do some research, maybe do some, yeah, that's a great, because that's exactly what I found. Whenever I have a problem with a stat or some data point, and I'm trying to find that story, you got to go ask and say, what are you seeing? What do you think? Here's what I'm thinking. So collaboration is a great place to
Yes.
bring analyst skills to bear, to ask those questions. And
Yep.
is data analysis, is it a technical thing or is it inquisitive? Of course, you need to know what you're technically inquiring against, but what do you think? Like if some math, you love math. Should I love math? How do I get into math?
Actually don't love math, but I like
You said you like
numbers.
numbers. Okay.
I like that numbers tell a story. That's what I like.
Mm,
But what I'll say is this, is that I actually think that, okay, technically setting up your AI agent and all of that, like NinjaCat makes that easy. Like that's one of the things that if we were just to make an agent on ourselves by ourselves,
right.
we wouldn't even know how to do it. But because we have the tool through NinjaCat, but I think what happens is people that are curious, or, they have a task, and if it's to grow your business or whatever, it takes the numbers part out of it because you can just talk to an agent like a human, right? And just be like, I'm curious about this. What is this showing me? It can, you don't have to be a data analyst. It's like having a data analyst that can read the numbers, tell you or to you and tell you what they're seeing.
Man, you just unlocked it. Those stupid questions you should be asking inside a dedicated place, like an AI agent that's tied to your organization's. There wouldn't be a stupid question there. And
Right.
there would
Right.
only be, well, because it's just you, one.
Right.
Two, the stuff you could get, the inquiry material. I love this. This is also my experience with AI. When I'm trying to gain sense of something, you have to inquire, and then you
Yep.
bring the artifact out of it, have a conversation, and then that sets the strategic guide. Maybe that gives you a piece of a tactic, a thought that you might need. But I'm using it as much of a inquiry kind of engine, and then it sets us on the path, but it only works when I know it's tied to the PDF that I'm trying to, like, don't go ask Google, or search your old training data. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like those limitations, you do need to have technical awareness. But I love that analysis is tied to inquiry, and it isn't about math, but it's about numbers and stories. I love that.
Yep.
So do you have maybe like a step, like some kind of quick draw McGraw thing when you go into say you got a line chart? Is there something that you're looking at? I'm looking at the highest point. I'm looking at the lowest point. I'm looking at the disparity in between. Is there sort of a guiding sense when you look? Sort of a dashboard? Do you have?
Um, so are you asking like how I would work with an agent with numbers? Is
Well,
that
no, I'm just kind of wondering when you're looking at some dashboard, it's got line
oh,
charts,
okay.
it's got all this
Hmm.
stuff. Do you have a way that you approach that? Sort of like a key?
Oh, I always go high level first with numbers, and usually what I can do is at the highest level, you can kind of see areas that you need to dive deeper into. And that's usually the path that I go to. And then continuously asking questions until I can find the root cause of things that make sense with the top line.
I think I just figured out there was probably a lot of people that do the reverse. They're trying to find the root before understanding the top.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it both ways, right? Like technicians are usually in the weeds and doing all the things they need to do for their specific role.
Right.
Right? But those roles have, or what they're doing has to roll up to a common goal. So
So so is that when you were talking about the way you and your team are working with AI agents and you have sub agents that are tied and tethered and stuff, can you explain like how like what that unlock was in between the team and just realizing the benefit of organizational orchestration, capabilities?
yeah, I think for us, for example, if we when we first started with the agents, we realized, oh, look, like we can analyze this part of the business, like our sales, right? Our POS. Wait, we can also analyze inventory. We can, and then separately, we can analyze what's going on with our paid media,
Mm.
right? But when we put it together, that's when for the first time we actually could see the big picture. It took time to build that.
Oh, of course.
And then what the switch was for us was this. We're very reaction, right,
Driven,
oriented,
right. Of
like,
course.
right, because you, again, with attribution and all this stuff, you get your information afterward.
Post, right. Yeah.
Um, when we were able to put all this together, and our business very seasonal
Hmm.
based on weather, and
Mm.
so we added weather information, past and predictive. All of a sudden we were able to go into a proactive model where we could set our strategies based on the information we had and then see how those strategies performed based on what we were predicting. So it really allowed us to feel like we're driving things more rather than reacting to everything.
I love that. Responsive, reactive, but I just want the audience to know it wouldn't be anything without that 20 tab spreadsheet. Like I feel like
Exactly.
wasn't that the skeleton key sort of like because you had this data awareness that goes back years,
Hmm.
you were able to just put that thing in the ignition, you know.
Yes. I
I
mean, the AI is only as good as you are, right? As a starting point, and then as you grow, your agent can grow too, right? So, because when it comes down to it, the work they're outputting, you have to check anyway. Like,
course.
just
Like you
it's just
would
like
anyway, like you would your
exactly,
own work if somebody's
exactly,
sending anything out, just hit send, it's
right,
perfect. Yeah.
right, right.
You will find a
So,
typo.
yes, you will.
No, I love that. Well, so couple more questions.
Sure.
So you explained how it's changing the day-to-day workflows. I mean, what's your day-to-day with AI and your business? Like you have meetings and you have all of this. How are you kind of engaging with technology? I think maybe people think I need to be in there daily. I have to be in Claude for hours. I have to give up my family to learn AI. You know, how are you doing it day to day?
I am really passionate about AI, but won't give up my family time for
Okay,
it.
well, I'm not saying that that's an option, but I'm saying it does
um,
feel like you have to dedicate a ton of
yeah.
time.
Yeah, well, I think it's there's a small learning curve. This is a new technology and things are changing fast, right? So there is an investment in it. However, whenever you learn a new way to use it, it does save you time or do your work. It could be the output a little bit better. So, for example, like my weak areas might be designing slides,
Right.
the design part. So instead of getting someone to help me design it, now I have a tool that will design it for me, but I'm working, on the content in the slide. So, but I would say AI probably is in the majority of my work day,
Yeah.
from even like changing meetings where you can take notes and then they can summarize, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then put it into a task list or list, things like that. And it has the history of all the meetings you had. So, and then all of my analysis now, strategy, I'm usually using AI to help me in some sort of way.
Mhm.
So, for our entire team,
Oh, yeah.
it's a tool that we're just working with all day long.
Yeah, it does seem like it's just sort of interwoven. It seems
Yeah.
like people are thinking it needs to be this new battery or something, and you're like, it's kind of, I love to hear it because it's a natural weaving in of processes that were already there, and just making it better. So I think I know your answer, but I'm interested to see, because a lot of people are thinking AI is going to give me superpowers. If you had to choose one enhancement that you think AI is good for, would it be visibility or velocity?
Um, well, I'm I can't answer that question with just one choice because I think it goes hand in hand.
You analysts and a marketer, it depends. No, of
But
course.
yeah, if I had to just choose one, it would be visibility.
Because you mentioned it earlier, and I was like, it really does help, because that's why I think a lot of people would be frustrated. If you're getting AI to think that it's going faster, you might be sad because you're going to have to set it up. You're going to have to work
Oh
hard.
yeah.
You're going to have to tease things out. But if you get in it that you're looking for visibility, higher level, just like what you were saying with analyst stuff, see if you can get as high as you can and see as far as you can. That just seems like the better idea. But that's just spoken from an analyst who knows exactly what she's talking about, who's using AI to make her team and workflows. It's so exciting to talk to an actual marketer who's doing things, because everybody gets this unicorn idea, like I'm going to become a
Oh yeah.
robot. Uh, and Sandra, really quick before I wrap it up, give that experience. You told me before you went to this roundtable event with big wig marketers from big wig brands, and you were looking like a wizard. Can you just kind of explain how that goes? Because it explains the jagged frontier really well.
Yeah, I've been in a couple situations like that, and I think that I've been fortunate enough to have tools to explore, and have the support from my management, to be able to test out new AI tools that have really, really made a difference in what we do. I think that a lot of companies don't provide that. And so, therefore, there's a lot of marketers who have very limited AI resources and can only do so much. So that's kind of what I heard in general. I think two different roundtables I've been to, I'm probably the only one that have used AI agents that are the type that NinjaCat offers.
Mhm.
I think
Like
we're
working
the
ones.
well, like I said, everyone calls AI agents different
That's
things,
what I'm
but
saying. Oh, nice demo. No,
but ones that we can make ourselves and train for
right.
what we want, right?
Customize.
Not
Yeah.
yeah,
For
not
your
one
instance.
that's like limited to a platform or whatever.
Right.
So um, I'm wondering when that's going to change, really, for these larger companies,
Yeah.
because it really is very beneficial.
The leadership angle is interesting, though. I think that it's heartening to hear that you have a team that wants you to have access to tools, and it probably is that those organizations also have that desire, but there's things holding them back. What would be your advice for someone who might find themselves in that hampered organization? Maybe the leadership isn't taking the initiative. What do you think they should do, in a safe way, that can maybe strengthen them and, get them in line?
Yeah, I think really staying educated on the trends with AI and marketing. I mean, there's so much content out there right now,
Too
podcasts.
much.
Yeah, there there is too much. But find your favorite one,
Yeah.
right? And see what's possible. Like you can learn a lot from there's a lot of experimenting going on. And
Nice.
honestly, I learn a lot from that too. There are things that I'm like, oh, I definitely want to try that, or no, I'm not ready for that, right? So,
Right.
but and I think continuing to like share with leadership, like what is possible based on what you're learning, and maybe there's something within, a box that they'll allow you to test it in. Really showing the value, really, I think is key to getting leadership support.
Yeah. And key to proving that value is knowing how you bring it, how you can analyze, how you can ask those stupid questions earlier, get to better insights faster. What a wonderful treat to hang out with you, Sandra. If people want to hang out, learn, connect, chat about AI, how can they do that?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Yep, I meet a lot of people on LinkedIn, so you can search up my name, Sandra Oono-Thomas, and I'd love to chat with you guys.
Cheese or chocolate?
Are you ready?
Ready?
Cheese or chocolate?
Oh, chocolate.
Oh, I don't know why I'm asking that anymore. Cheese is such a bygone era. If
I like cheese too, but I like chocolate more.
let's be honest. Okay. Ooh, this is interesting. Ballet or break dancing?
Oh,
Big difference. I mean,
yeah, I will say ballet. But I really love both.
but I think we all remember the Olympics, right?
Oh yeah,
Break
that was
dancing.
cool.
Well,
Yeah, that was super cool.
that was great, but then also it needed one more thing. You're like, and then what? It's
Right.
like, I'm happy, but there's no ballet in the Olympics. I bet. I wonder who's working harder. That would be interesting. Okay. Unfair
Oh,
question. Okay.
yeah.
Next one. Zoo or museum?
Oh, museum.
Zoo. What's I have kids. I have kids.
Yeah. It depends what zoo, I guess.
Gotta be a nice zoo.
Yeah.
An adult zoo. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, hike a mountain, walk the beach.
Oh, hike a mountain.
You down for the
Mm-hmm.
strenuous activity, Sandra?
I well, it doesn't have to be straight up, but
I like a flat hike.
yeah.
It's just outdoors. I get it. Yeah, because the beach, I remember you get a little nervous because here comes the
Oh,
ocean. Oh,
I love the ocean, but I don't know. I like both.
no,
But I would
Sandra,
okay,
one.
this is why. Hike a mountain, you got trees around you, they're beautiful, especially if you're in the redwood forest.
Oh, of
It's
course.
quiet. You might run into some wilderness, but
If you're concerned about that, we have well, it's a different podcast. I don't
yeah,
know. Don't be concerned about wilderness. Thank you. Two more, and then I'll let you
yes.
back into the real world. A really loud pet bird or Ed Sheeran? Got to choose
Ed
one.
Sheeran. I would pick Ed Sheeran. I don't want to have a really loud pet bird.
You got to meet this bird. It's probably a better singer. Oh, I'm just kidding. Any Ed Sheeran fans out there? I'm sorry I just said that. Okay, finally. Uh, paper or plastic?
Oh, well, I can give you a politically correct answer, which is paper, but when I go to the grocery store, it's plastic.
Oh, you remember? They were like, no, no more bags. And you're like, oh, well, I didn't like them anyway, I guess. I A good plastic bag.
Yes.
I know. I'm sorry. I know. That wasn't the right answer. But I think it was the right one. We'll just let it go.